Hi, welcome to Building Bridges Ministry. My name is Joe. Today we are going to look at a topic that me and my wife had discussed. And I guess the basic idea of the question is, what happens if we don't allow ourselves or allow others to go through valleys on this walk with Christ? And I'm sure you're going to say, what do you mean by that? Why would we want to go through valleys? In my experience of doing a lot of this stuff, those moments of valleys are where we grow the most. It took me a while to kind of learn this idea. I've been doing my job for about 20 years. I have a good amount of experience. I had some good teachers who taught me how to do my job. So when I started to teach, I wouldn't hesitate to grab a hold of the job and just show them how it's done. You know what I mean? Save them the hassle of going through the struggle of figuring out stuff and figuring out how to take care of the problem themselves. And, after a few trainings of doing that, I was robbing them of opportunities for them to learn. Who wants to see anybody fail and not succeed? I know Christ doesn't want us to Christ doesn't want us to fail as well. But there is some growing pains that we need to do as we walk through this life. I have been on many job sites where I'm assigned this repair, and I get there, I don't have all the information I need or a pre-game plan, so to speak, of how to tackle this job. And, you're looking at it and you're like, how am I going to do this? And you try and call a senior tech to try and get some advice. And maybe you're in a bad cell service. You don't have access to that. The person you have with you to help you on the project may not have the experience that you need to bounce ideas off to tackle the project. I have had enough of these situations in which it has helped me develop good problem skills, good ability to really take the time to assess the project, look and see what I got, what do I got to do, how am I going to get there, how am I going to tackle it. And, and I'll take the new person or the little bit of experienced person, and I will talk through the plan. And purely for them to learn and for me to vocalize the plan so that I can grab a hold of it and be able to put it in the application. My wife and I were watching a new show. It's called The Madisons. And the premise of the show is this husband has a spot in Montana with his brother. He likes going fly fishing. It's kind of an escape from him. They live in New York City. They're just used to hustle and bustle, and the wife really never wanted to go to this spot. And the husband's always asking her to get there. Well, through an unfortunate accident, the husband and the brother have a plane crash and they pass away. and the wife brings her children and grandchildren and brings them out to Montana to identify the whole body deal and all that other stuff. But that process opened up the mother's eyes to how not allowing her children to walk through the valleys to find solutions on their own a little bit really was kind of problemsome. And, you know, part of this was how we look at trying to make it a little bit easier on our children, co-workers, to not have to go through the struggles or the valleys, as we say, like we did in our path. But we need to know the value in which things we gained in that process. And we have to allow that person that we're walking with, that we're encouraging, that we're mentoring, that we're doing life with, to allow them that ability to go through that valley a little bit. Not that we can't, you know, not that we're so far away that we're never going to help them and we're just going to let them absolutely flounder and die in that valley, but enough to walk in that valley to find a game plan, find a way through that situation to succeed. So when they come across that valley again, and you will come across that valley again, you're going to walk into that problem and you're going to say, this is nothing. This is what I did last time. This is how I got through it last time. And, you know, what a great experience to be able to do that. I mean, I reflect on my work in the, from where I start to where I am at now. It's pretty neat to know that whatever the situation is, I have been able to, been blessed with a good enough problem solving that I may be frustrated at the beginning and I just need to calm down for a second, look at the scenario. What do we have to work with? Where are we at? What, you know, and get that process back in line to what I have learned so that the ability is there. And it's easier and quicker to phone a friend and just have them talk you through it, right? Or to, you know, just have somebody else do it. But, you know, that's not always the case. Our first reading is going to be 2 Corinthians 12:9. 12:9. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. Paul recognizes here the weakness that he has. And through Christ, Paul was able to share God's word to a group of people and to others who at one time he was persecuting. And, you know, when we're walking through those valleys and we can't phone a friend and we don't have a solid, reliable person walking alongside of us, we can go to Christ and we can talk to him We could say, hey, look, I got such and such a problem. I need wisdom. I need help through this problem. And amazingly, Christ fires up that Holy Spirit inside of us. And they give you that little mental word of encouragement. It's like, you've been here before. How did we make it through before? What's our basics? Let's go back to your basics. Where's your basics? What do you need to know to take care of this problem? And slowly, we chew at that problem, and we walk through it, and we walk through it. And we no longer have a problem, right? We've made it through. How much strength do we gain when we take that application and put it into work? Which is amazing to me. Every time I solved one of my crazy little problems that I had, I made sure that I went to God and I said, hey, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the ability to problem solve. Thank you for being alongside me when I was unsure, and to help me through this scenario. So grateful. And, you know, I guess the one of the things that I really want to share with this is we do have God. God is always by our side. We have such a great support group in our lives that we need to make sure we know how to utilize that and how to lean into that to help us through that. We're going to look at Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14. You can enter God's kingdom only through the narrow gate. The highway to hell is broad, and its gate is wide for the many who choose that way. But the gateway to life is very narrow, and the road is difficult, and only a few ever find it. All right. How does this tie in? When we take the easy road in a problem, right? We don't learn to truly problem solve. We don't truly learn how to take on the task that's in front of us. And it hurts us in the long run, in all honesty. It's... And I'm not saying that I've taken the hard road to everything. I have found, I have used shortcuts in my life to get around stuff, only to have it not work out the way it should work out anyways. But, and that's the process of learning, right? Say you take the easy road once, twice, maybe 3 times, and you've seen how, in the end, the easy road isn't the path you should have taken. Because most times when we take the easy road, there is a debt attached to that easy road. And that debt, most of the time, is a hard thing to pay back. So I'm probably going to try and cover this in a few videos, because it's a pretty good sized topic, and I don't want to have you hang on here for way too long in a video. But let's look at the valleys that we've walked through. Let's look at the value of walking through that valley. What have we gained through those valleys in our lives? I've used this many times in the teachings at CR. You're going through those valleys, and man, it's horrible. Absolutely horrible. I don't wish anybody to have to walk through a valley, but the things that we learn and the abilities that we gain when we go through those valleys are incredible. And we're able to help others through those valleys with words of encouragement and maybe pointing them in a direction in a way that helps them gain through that valley as well. So, let's look at your valleys this week. What are you going to do with them when you walk into them? Are you going to just take the easy path out of the valley? Are you going to walk through the valley and know that not far behind you is help? But you're going to try and take it on as best as you can first and see how you make out. Use the knowledge that you've been given. Go back to your basics. What are your basics? And take on the problem that is in front of you. So thank you and have a blessed day.